The observation deck of the Stellar Commerce Vessel Paragon hummed with its usual activity, and I, Junior Analyst Venn-Twelve of the Crixellian Trade Commission, had my 6 eyes focused on nothing more important than my mid-rotation snack. A perfectly adequate nutrition cube. Beige. Flavorless. Safe. That's when the human arrived. Captain Ryla Prime had warned us during the morning briefing. "We're taking on a human consultant," she'd said, her mandibles clicking with what I now recognize as poorly concealed dread. "Protocol Officer Marcus Webb. He's here to help optimize our station layouts for the new multi-species initiative." Help optimize. That's what she'd said. What she meant was, brace yourselves. Marcus Webb stood approximately 1.8 meters tall, which seemed average enough for his species. Brown hair, dark eyes, a smile that showed far too many teeth for my comfort. He wore the standard consultant uniform, a datapad tucked under one arm, and radiated the kind of confidence that made me immediately suspicious. "Morning everyone," he called out, his voice booming across the deck in a way that made my sensory frills retract involuntarily. "Ready to make some improvements?" My colleague, Senior Tech Brill 4, a methodical Zentari with excellent credentials and zero sense of humor, gestured toward the primary workstation cluster. "We appreciate your assistance, Mr. Webb. However, I must inform you that our current layout has been certified by 3 different ergonomic specialists, and any changes would require extensive committee review." Marcus grinned wider. "Great. Let's start there." The first hour passed normally enough. Marcus asked questions, took notes, measured distances between consoles. He muttered things under his breath about workflow efficiency and unnecessary complexity. Standard consultant behavior. I began to relax. Perhaps humans weren't so strange after all. Then the cleaning bot got stuck. Our sanitation unit, model GX 900, let out a distressed beeping sound. It had wedged itself partially under console 7, its sensors flashing in patterns that roughly translated to robotic panic. The console, a massive structure housing 17 different monitoring systems and approximately 400 kilograms of equipment, sat exactly 3 centimeters too low for the bot to extract itself. "Oh, for the love of," Brill 4 sighed, his tail drooping. "I'll submit a maintenance request. They should be able to send a crew by next rotation." "Next rotation?" Marcus looked up from his datapad. "The little guy's stuck now." "Yes, well, these things happen. Proper procedure requires." Marcus was already walking toward console 7. I watched with mild interest, assuming he'd simply attempt to coax the bot backward. Standard problem solving. Nothing unusual. What happened next violated approximately 17 of my assumptions about physics, biology, and common sense. The human bent down, wrapped his fingers around the base of console 7, and lifted, not tilted. Not leveraged with tools. Not carefully repositioned using proper equipment, lifted, with one hand. 400 kilograms of sensitive equipment rose half a meter into the air as though it weighed no more than my nutrition cube. The cleaning bot, apparently as shocked as the rest of us, beeped once and rolled backward to safety. Marcus held the console steady, looked underneath to ensure the bot had cleared, then gently lowered the entire structure back into place. The monitoring systems didn't even flicker. "There we go," Marcus said, straightening up and brushing his hands together. "All set." The observation deck had gone completely silent. My 3 hearts were pounding at different rhythms, creating a nauseating internal discord. Brill 4's mouth hung open, displaying both rows of his crystallized teeth. Even Captain Ryla Prime, who'd been reviewing reports near the viewport, had frozen mid-gesture. Marcus looked around at our stunned faces. "What? Was I not supposed to move that? Move it?" I heard my own voice, higher pitched than usual. "Mr. Webb, that console masses 400 kilograms. Our safety regulations require a 6-person lifting team and certified anti-grav equipment for any repositioning." "Oh." Marcus glanced back at the console. "Huh. Felt lighter than I expected." Maybe it's the lower gravity on the ship? This vessel operates at standard galactic norm, Brill-4 whispered. 0.98 of baseline terrestrial standard. Right, so basically Earth normal. Marcus shrugged. Look, I worked construction during university. You learn to lift stuff. No big deal. No big deal. The human had just casually demonstrated strength that would require mechanical assistance for any of our species, and he considered it no big deal. Captain Ryloprime approached slowly, as one might approach an unexploded ordnance. Mr. Webb, I think we need to discuss the physical capabilities of your species. For safety purposes. Sure thing, Captain. But honestly, that wasn't even heavy. Now, back on Earth, I once helped my buddy move a piano up 4 flights of stairs. An alarm cut him off. The proximity sensors, suddenly very interested in the conversation, because if one human could do this, what exactly had we agreed to when we signed the multi-species initiative? The alarm died down after Captain Ryloprime convinced the automated defense system that Marcus wasn't, in fact, a hostile boarding party disguised as a single consultant. But the damage to our collective sense of reality had already been done. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice still doing that unfortunate squeaking thing it does when I'm terrified. All humans can do this? Just casually lift objects that would require industrial equipment for the rest of us? Marcus tilted his head, considering. Well, not all humans. My grandmother probably couldn't lift that console. Maybe with 2 hands though. She's pretty tough. His grandmother. His elderly grandmother. Could possibly lift 400 kilograms. With minor difficulty. This is a joke, Brill-4 announced, his logical mind clearly trying to reassert control over the situation. You're exaggerating for comedic effect. A well-documented human behavior. Am I? Marcus looked genuinely confused. I mean, yeah, I work out a few times a week, but that's just normal maintenance. Everyone does that, right? Define normal maintenance, Captain Ryloprime said carefully. You know, hit the gym. Maybe lift some weights. Run a few kilometers. Keep the heart rate up. Otherwise you get all stiff and weak. My translator struggled with the concept. Weak? He considered his current state, where he could apparently bench press our furniture, as the result of avoiding weakness? How much do you lift? I asked. In these weight training sessions? Marcus scratched his chin. Depends on the exercise. For deadlifts, maybe 150, 160 kilos. Nothing crazy. I'm not trying to compete or anything. The observation deck went quiet again. Even the background hum of the ship system seemed to pause in disbelief. Senior Medical Officer Tick-7, who'd been monitoring the conversation from her station, finally spoke up. Her voice carried that particular tone medical professionals use when delivering catastrophic news. Captain, I need to run some calculations. If Mr. Webb represents average human capability, we may need to completely reassess our safety protocols, structural requirements, and emergency procedures. I'm really not that strong, Marcus protested. Seriously, back home I'm pretty average. There's this guy at my gym, Paolo, who can lift almost twice what I can. And don't even get me started on professional athletes. Those people are built different. Built different. As though there were humans who were somehow more powerful than this already impossible specimen before us. How? Brill-4 began, then stopped, then started again. How did your species evolve to be so absurdly over-engineered? Marcus laughed, that loud barking sound humans make when amused. Over-engineered? Dude, we're actually pretty fragile compared to Earth's other apex predators. No natural armor, no claws, relatively weak bite force. We just learned to use tools and, I guess, got good at throwing things and running long distances. Running long distances, Captain Ryloprime repeated flatly. Elaborate, please. Oh, yeah. Humans are actually built for endurance hunting. We can't sprint as fast as a lot of animals, but we can just keep going. And going. And going. There are people who run ultramarathons, like 100 miles or more, just for fun. For fun, I whispered. They run 160 kilometers. For recreational purposes. Some people think it's fun, Marcus corrected. Not really my thing. I prefer rock climbing. Which involves? Tick 7 asked, though her tone suggested she already regretted the question. Scaling vertical cliff faces using minimal equipment. Great for building grip strength and problem-solving skills. Of course. Of course humans recreationally climbed vertical surfaces that would kill most species if they fell. Why wouldn't they? The cleaning bot, perhaps sensing that it had inadvertently triggered an existential crisis, beeped apologetically and rolled away to resume its duties. Lucky little machine. It could escape this nightmare. Okay, Captain Ryla Prime said, squaring her shoulders in a way that suggested she was mentally preparing herself for combat. New plan. Mr. Webb, I need you to compile a comprehensive report on human physical capabilities. Averages, outliers, everything. We cannot have a multi-species station where one species can accidentally destroy equipment while trying to be helpful. Accidentally? Marcus looked wounded. I was very careful with that console. You lifted 400 kilograms with one hand. Yeah, but I didn't drop it. The logic was sound, I had to admit. Horrifying, but sound. Brill 4, ever the analyst, pulled up his data pad. This explains several anomalies in the human integration reports. The broken door handles. The crushed furniture in the recreation areas. The incident with the supply crates. What incident with the supply crates? Captain Ryla Prime asked warily. A human dock worker apparently decided the anti-grav loader was moving too slowly and just carried 6 crates simultaneously. Each crate massed 80 kilograms. Marcus nodded enthusiastically. Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Good form too, if he kept his back straight. Core engagement is super important for heavy lifting. I looked at my nutrition cube, sitting abandoned on my workstation. Beige. Flavorless. Safe. From a simpler time, maybe 15 minutes ago, when I understood how the universe worked. Right then, Captain Ryla Prime said, her voice carrying the weight of someone who just realized her job had become exponentially more complicated. Mr. Webb, your optimization project is now secondary. Your primary task is helping us human-proof this station before someone accidentally tears a bulkhead off while trying to open a stuck drawer. That only happened once, Marcus muttered. What? Nothing, Captain. I'll get started on that report right away. As Marcus headed toward his temporary office, still looking slightly confused about what all the fuss was about, I exchanged glances with Brill 4. We're going to need reinforced everything, he said quietly. And maybe therapy, I added. Definitely therapy. The cleaning bot beeped in what I interpreted as agreement, welcome to the multi-species initiative. Where humans lift your furniture, break your assumptions, and apparently think it's all perfectly normal. We were so unprepared.